50 Cent's personal story, he became famous due to his constant determination, as dramatic as his career route, and families may be difficult. Few people are aware of the turmoil and sorrow that surround his personal life. He is well known as a rap icon. Despite having 2 kids, 50 Cent and his oldest son, Marquise Jackson, have a strained relationship. Despite having to deal with challenging circumstances due to his past, he has given his younger son, Sire, his undivided love and attention. When 50 Cent's then-girlfriend, Shaw Tompkins, gave birth to Maris in 1996, 50 Cent's name Curtis Jackson became a father. Everything appeared to be going smoothly at the time, but the family bond deteriorated along with their turbulent relationship. Tension had already started to build between 50 and Maris during a lengthy and contentious custody dispute. And by the time the matter was finally settled in 2008, 50 said that their father-son relationship was barely surviving, when he was his father was superhuman and loved him. However, as he grew older, this awe gave way to disenchantment. And by the time he reached adolescence, their relationship had virtually vanished. The final straw occurred in 2008 when Mars was spotted in a photo with the child of one of 50 Cent's most dangerous adversaries, Kenneth Supreme McGriff. He was deeply hurt by this betrayal, and he replied with according to family relatives. Maris regularly created trouble by deliberately doing things that irritated his father. He would post stuff online that annoyed him or hang out with people he didn't like. Both of them were unwilling to let up. Thus, it turned into a twisted game. 50 Cent said he wouldn't care if Maris and McGriff's son was struck by a bus. In reaction to criticism of his callous social media remark, the scathing comment showed how strained their relationship was, about sadness rather than hostility, stating that he had given Maris a lot more money than he had ever had as a child, and that he felt his son was treating him disrespectfully by promising him just 1 day of his father's time in return for $6,700, the same monthly child support amount that 50 had made a public effort to win his father's attention in 2002. 50 rejected the offer, claiming that social media would not be a part of a sincere attempt at reconciliation. Even though Maris had claimed that it wasn't about money and that all he wanted was to spend time with his father. Despite the inconvenience, Maris is committed to becoming well-known. He entered the music industry, releasing songs and trying to get out from his father's shadow. Money couldn't repair a disrespectful relationship, he reasoned, and Maris wasn't being serious. Later, Maris revealed that he had attempted to have a private conversation with his father, but had encountered difficulties due to the fact that he lacked his phone number and his social media accounts were prohibited. He only wanted an open and sincere discussion. He wasn't requesting money. Even the most successful people occasionally experience serious personal problems. Family stories frequently conceal layers of suffering, happiness, and conflict, though it has been affected by the challenges he has had throughout all of the highs and lows. 50 Cent's relationship with his younger son, Sire, seems to be closer. His second son was born in September 2012, a reminder that 50 Cent is still on his road as a father and a son. Although his relationship with his mother, Daphne Joy, has not been going well behind the scenes, he seems to have a stronger affinity with his son than he does with his turbulent oldest son, Maris. Daphne accused 50 of mistreating her on social media in March 2024, claiming that it had shattered her heart and eroded her trust in him as a father. Despite 50 Cent's denials, the public claims further complicated their already complicated relationship. To gain sole custody of Syra, claims she strongly refuted. The drama was well publicized and wasn't just found in courtrooms. Their fight had already made headlines. Following a furious argument with Daphne in 2013, 50 was accused of domestic abuse. He was accused of kicking her and causing damage to her property, but he pleaded guilty to petty vandalism, escaped more severe penalties. The event resulted in 3 consecutive years of 50 Cent is steadfast in his commitment to his roots in spite of everything. particularly with regard to his son Sire. In a recent interview, that his youngest son, would inherit his entire fortune, by emphasizing that whatever he has achieved will be passed on to Sire. His devotion to Sire was praised by fans. But many were interested in his firstborn child, Maris. Probation and community service were unmistakable signs that their arguments had practical consequences and went beyond tabloid rumors. When Maris posted a photo of himself in 2018, it was one of the most dramatic moments in the ongoing story between 50 and Maris. McGriff. It's more than just a nickname to people who know 50's past. To them, he represents a difficult time in the rapper's life. Seeing his son with someone's child who had such a deep link to the gunshot that nearly killed 50 people in 2000 was a breaking point for McGriff, who was allegedly implicated in the incident. It was painfully clear how deep their schism had become from 50 Cent's cold response to the photo. Beyond the headlines and platinum albums, there is a story of a man who has been molded by both pain and triumph. Born in Queens, New York, Curtis Jackson was brought up by a single mother who did everything she could to give him a better life. His mother, Sabrina Jackson, was everything to him. She was a hard worker who would stop at nothing to support her child. At the age of 8, Curtis's existence on the streets was brutally ended in 1983. His mother was drugged, forced unconscious, and had her apartment burned down in what police believed to be a homicide. Her life was forever changed by the mystery surrounding 50 Cent's murder. In a society that did not accept women like her, she caused a stir in her South Jamaica Queens community with her power and fearlessness. Although 50 Cent's family has always been the most important aspect of his life, there have been heartaches and challenges along the road. 50Y never entirely recovered from the wound created by losing his mother, Sabrina Jackson, when he was 8 years old, according to his interviews. Curtis's ambition, drive, and unrelenting quest for success were spurred by this violent and adolescent incident, but it also left scars that shaped the complex man we know today. Father trying to balance the anguish of unresolved ties with his legacy. Speaking on how her passing affected him, he recounted how the one person who meant the world to him was brutally taken away by someone who allegedly placed something in her drink and turned on the gas. Even as an adult, he admits that if life had thrown him a curveball, he would have believed that if his mother had survived, things would not have turned out the way they did. In addition to being his mother, Sabrina was a tough, direct lady who made sure her son was ready for the hard facts of life. 50 recalls her as being stern but kind, constantly urging him to make a choice. In interviews and his songs, 50Y has never held back when talking about those years. Her advice, get up and keep going, stayed with him and affected his approach to overcoming obstacles in life as a youngster and as a well-known celebrity. But after his mother passed away, young Curtis ended up in South Jamaica, Queens, under the care of his grandmother. At 12, he started working, dealing narcotics, and learning how to survive on the streets. He believed he had to follow this course, survive, even though he didn't want to. Life remained challenging. He recalls being his grandmother's baby, which highlights the stark contrast between his rough exterior and the fact that he had to seek permission to walk home from school. There were 8 of them in the same house, so living with his grandma wasn't always simple. His grandmother was always there for him at a period when he was arrested, got into fights, and made dangerous choices. There was a lot of tension, especially with his Aunt Sylvia, who was that Curtis had replaced her in the family. Despite this, 50Y had a good relationship with his grandmother, who often believed she recognized his mother's face in his own. He felt the weight of this unsaid connection every day, but it also made her love seem more genuine. He remembers being called to the hospital where the whole family had assembled and how the death of his grandma years later was more agonizing than anything 50 had ever gone through. Her eyes shone when he spoke to her in spite of he tried to accept the loss of his fragility, despite the constant tragedies of losing friends and loved ones to drugs, violence, and accidents. However, in August 2024, 50 had to cope with his grandfather's unexpected death again as he noticed a dip in her pulse rate after their brief moment together. His aunt turned to face him and said, "She was waiting for you." He shared the information on Instagram with a touching statement, recalling his grandfather's humor and sacrifices, even while he was in the hospital even if his family is still the most important aspect of his life. Relationships haven't always been simple. His connection with Daphne Joy, the mother of his youngest son, Sire, serves as one illustration. Public allegations and legal disputes have characterized their tumultuous relationship. In a since-removed Instagram post from May 2023, actress and model Daphne accused 50 of harassment. 50 retaliated by suing for defamation, claiming that her charges had damaged his image and personal life, including his ability to see his father. Daphne's claims of feeling mistreated and in control further strained the already fragile relationship between 50 and his son, and even though the message was withdrawn, the damage had already been done. Despite the chaos, 50 Cent remains devoted to his family and creates a legacy full of love, grief, and insurmountable obstacles. 50 Cent has consistently expressed his desire to support his youngest son, but his legal troubles with Daphne Joy have made it harder to pursue her. In September 2023, 50Y chose to dismiss the lawsuit despite the intense back and forth, saying the charges were intended to damage his reputation and keep him from visiting his father. He may resubmit later if the lawsuit is dismissed without prejudice. He seems to want to put the legal issues behind him. But one thing was certain: the dispute between 50 Cent and Daphne had not been settled. It's unclear whether it was a part of a larger plan or an attempt to address the issue. In addition, he has spent more than 20 years in a toxic relationship with Sheena Tompkins, the mother of his eldest son, Maris. Since the late 1990s, their relationship has deteriorated into a vicious cycle of court cases, public taunts, and ongoing social media teasing. In January 2019, 50 accused Shaniqua on Instagram of spending money from his first overseas tour on cosmetic surgery instead of real estate. Sheena's outspoken and angry response further worsened their already poor relationship by bringing Maris into the argument. Even after their breakup, their turbulent relationship persisted until 2008, when it had turned into a public dispute marked by regular disagreements about money. According to reports, Sheena collaborated with Carmen Bryan, the ex-girlfriend of NSA, on a reality TV program that was promoted as a series on empowering women in business. It wasn't the end of the drama for Maris's care. 50 revealed that he had been paying Sheena $40,000 a month, or around $500,000 a year. But Shaniqua, he claimed, was dissatisfied and wanted more. The monthly fee was lowered to $6,700. After 50 people filed a lawsuit to find a decent position, Sheena clapped back, saying he was frightened she would expose his true identity and accusing him of being bitter. They refused to compromise as their argument grew more heated. Maris, their adult son, has tried to create his own identity while avoiding the negative consequences of his parents' dysfunctional relationship. When his parents argue, Maris is used to it becoming a public show. These familial problems have made conflict challenging, and the public has been enthralled with 50 Cent's private life. When the very private rapper and Cuban Link went out together at the Power Season 6 premiere, fans immediately saw their chemistry, and it appeared like their romance was off to a great start. Fans began to question how their relationship was doing as the spark that had everyone talking seemed to wane over time. The tale of 50 Cent and Cuban Links is one of perseverance, intricate familial ties, and a continuous struggle to balance personal conflict with public achievement. When pictures of the two appeared together on social media in 2019, rumors about their relationship began to spread. However, the pair kept their romance a secret until they ultimately made it public. From his constant conflicts with his ex-lovers to his resolve to provide for his children, 50's life has been a combination of incredible highs and intensely personal challenges. 50 made fun of their initial encounter during an Instagram Live session, remembering how Cuban Link gave him the address of a restaurant instead of her home. It was playful and an indication of their growing bond. In a 2020 interview, 50 revealed that they even created relationship vision boards to deepen their connection. The pair appeared sincere in their efforts to grow as a couple and as individuals, and to work toward a stable future. But over time, admirers discovered when 50 amusingly acknowledged that he was single in an interview on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. The whispers grew more intense. By joking that he was free and not married, he made it clear that the relationship was over. The mystery was heightened by the fact that, in spite of his lack of explicit reference, Cuban Link fans had already figured out the solution. Speculation began when the most current photos from the two's social media profiles began to disappear. In interviews, 50 has often been candid about why he has never considered marriage, and how his primary focus has always been growing his career. He didn't want to get sidetracked by the accusations that his relationship may have suffered in favor of his career goals, which were exacerbated by this comment. It was clear that 50 and Cuban Link's paths had diverged, even though they did not formally declare their split. They appeared to have split up because of the demands of their different personal and professional lives, just like many well-known couples. When Colbert asked 50 why he continues to chase fortune without a meaningful partner to share it with, he described how money impacts relationships. He admitted that he would prefer to concentrate on his objectives and that romance could be distracting, particularly for men. Though he didn't totally rule out the prospect of falling in love in the future, he also joked that he doesn't want to feel like a hostage stuck in a relationship. A story of tenacity. 50 Cent was given a 9-year prison term for selling drugs when he was just 19 years old. His persistent pursuit of many objectives demonstrates his dedication to leading a life in accordance with his principles. He and Cuban Link are no longer together. It's clear that their split was more about protecting opportunities than it was about creating drama. Even though his tenure was brief, 6-month sit was enough to change his perspective. He realized that living on the streets would not help him reach his objectives. As he left, hip-hop was evolving. A new generation of gangster rap, shortly to include a new voice from Queens. 50 Cent was replacing the golden era of gangster rap, which was dominated by NWA, Tupac, Biggie, and Snoop Dogg. Power of the Dollar, his debut album, was meant to be 50's big break. He was desperate to establish himself in the music industry outside his grandmother's home in May 2000 before the single was even released. As 50 recovered and restructured, the industry went into hiding after his record label, Columbia, abandoned him. The consequences were dire. Fortunately, 50 individuals who were shot 9 times made it out alive. 50 had to start over during this time. 50 was able to get in touch with producer Shaw Money XL through Jam Master Jay Shaw, who recently bought a house on Long Island. When they joked that they had successfully put Humpty Dumpty back together, he was ready to go back to work despite the near-fatal attack. 50 then shut themselves in Shaw's house and began recording continuously, producing 2 mixtapes that transformed the genre. Was the beginning of a legendary grind. The future belongs to 50 Cent, and you know who's coming back. In addition to creating a stir, these recordings took over New York streets, where boomboxes and car windows were playing music everywhere. Get Rich or Die Trying became the year's best-selling album and one of the most legendary rap albums ever when it sold 12 million copies globally at the end of the year. Do Club, the album's debut song, was the biggest single of 2003, dominating the airwaves and topping the Billboard Hot 100 for 9 weeks. But 50 Cent never lost sight of his success, and he regularly recognizes his Eminem's contemporaneous breakthrough with the Marshall Mathers LP, which sold an incredible 23 million copies, promptly acknowledged by 50. According to 51, hip-hop is clearly black music, and some people find it hard to believe that a white artist is better than many black musicians. His fame was aided by legendary musicians like Dr. Dre and Eminem. And Get Rich or Die Trying sold an astounding 13 million copies. From the streets of Queens to international superstardom, 50 Cent's narrative is one of tenacity, willpower, and self-reinvention. His experience teaches us that with unshakable determination, no challenge is too great. He's always been on the cutting edge. Remember to look at more content if you enjoy this story. His musical success in the 1950s was only the beginning, but he has stayed grounded in other facets of his career. His first love is still music, despite his recent forays into other fields like television. Please like and subscribe to our channel if you would like to see more tales like this one that inspire you.